All right, today, as you see, I have my grandkids. But before I go into that, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Tonya. So welcome to Tonya's Tea. Those of you who don't know me, I'm a certified health and life coach, and I teach women how to lose weight without dieting. I teach those women who are successful in every area of their life except weight loss. They just cannot lose it and keep it off. So if you're done with dieting, I'm just going to wrap that up because I have my grandkids. If you're done with dieting, then that is who I help. All right, that is who I help. And I help you lose weight in a way that you can live without restrictions, without deprivation, without living at the gym. You don't have to if you don't want to. You get to decide the life you have, the life you want. Today's topic is my testimony that you haven't heard. All right, everybody knows my weight loss story, but I want to go back a little farther than that. All right, y'all, I'm going to jump right in and give you a little bit about me. I want to tell you all a part of me. I like being transparent in case somebody else is going through something. So I want to go back to where all of it started, okay? So back November the 1st, 1972, that's when my spirit entered this earth in human form. I mean, you know, we're all spirits. For those of you who have forgotten, because I know I had at one point, we are more than just humans. We are first spirits who came to this earth in the form of human incarnation, okay? So anyway, November the 1st, 1972, I was born. But anyway, as you saw, my granddaughter, she's like 3. She's 2, almost 3. And so around that age, when I was that age, I can just remember being joyous, being carefree, didn't have a care in the world. I mean, didn't think about anything. I didn't think about how I was going to eat. I didn't think about what clothes I was going to wear. I was just carefree, free-spirited. I was just full of love, full of joy, just full of imagination, full of creativity. I was just full of life at that age. And if you look at your grandchildren or if you look at your children at that age, you can pretty much tell what they want to be, who they are, what they're good at, what they like, you know. And that is because at that age, they haven't been tainted by the world. At that age, they have not been human long enough to forget their spirit being, their spirit part of themselves, if that makes sense. So around that age, they're just innocent. And they're exactly what God intended them to be. And that's dependent upon them. You know, just expressing the true selves. Did y'all see Sophia? She was like, nah. Just very expressive. Just true to who they are.
Yes.
Come here. Okay, this is Major. So when I was around, Major is 7. Okay, he's 7. So when I got around Major's age, I was in school. I was a little older, a little aware of my peers and what they were doing, what they looked like, what they sound like, what they, just who they were. I started looking at my peers to determine who I was around that age. And so, but also, I still had a little bit of creativity about me because, y'all, my favorite celebrity when I was that age was Cicely Tyson. And so I used to just have this big bubbly personality where I wanted to be like an actress. I wanted to be Cicely Tyson. And so I would put on shows. I would like capture my parents' attention and my sisters or anybody else that would listen. I would get in front of the TV and pretend to be Cicely Tyson, okay? And so that's just who I was. And then around Major's age, I started comparing myself to my peers. I went to a predominantly white school and I started thinking, oh, my hair wasn't straight enough. Why my hair is not straight like Sally's? Why my skin is a different color? You know, I started comparing. And so I remember thinking, darn, I didn't like my name. I didn't like my voice because I had a deep voice. I thought I had a deep voice. And I didn't like it. And I didn't like my name. I thought Tonya was just the ugliest name. Why my mama couldn't name me Melissa or somebody? That's just things that started going through my head as a child. And y'all, that is nothing that no one teaches children. it just seated. It just starts to be seated. The older we get, the older I got, the longer I was in this world. I even started comparing myself to my sister. I used to think that my chores were, because I was darker than my sister, I used to think that's why they had me do the outside chores, like sweeping the porch, because they didn't want her to go outside and get dark. I mean, just all kind of things. You just wouldn't imagine what goes through your children's mind. All right, so then comes along this age right here. I get about this age, y'all. Now, by this time, Charlotte is 10, right? So by this time, I'm in school now. I'm in like middle school. She'll be going to the what?
6th grade.
She'll be going to the 6th grade. So yeah, about this age, you can sit right there or wherever. So by that age, y'all, that's really when things just, it was like got worse and worse and worse for me. My self-esteem. So I started comparing, I started listening to my classmates and how they would read and how my classmates would I just thought they were just smarter than me. I was like, oh my God, they're such fluent readers and they are just so smart. So when I got Charlotte's age, y'all, what I started doing was to deflect the fact that I wasn't smart. Now these are thoughts. These are all thoughts. No one told me this. No one had to tell me. I started being a class clown. If any of y'all can relate, if you got kids about that age, it's a reason. They not being a class clown just because. I mean, even though I had always had a bubbly personality and I always wanted to capture attention, but this was because I didn't want to read. I didn't want to read out loud in class. I didn't think I read good enough, and I was just masking that with comedy, masking that with being a class clown. All right. So all of these thoughts, though, like I said, they were just seeds that grew. And then when I became an adult, I never thought I was smart. I never, ever thought that I was smart. My sister was the smart one. My sister was the light-skinned one. My sister was, it was just all that, comparing. My parents probably don't even know this. But I started comparing myself, and I never thought I was smart. Never thought I was never thought I could learn anything. Never thought, I just felt unworthy. I just felt unworthy. No one knew. Parents didn't know, but I felt unworthy. All right, so then I started working at the post office in 95. Around 3 years after I started working there, one of my coworkers introduced me to urban fiction. Y'all, where has that been all my whole life? I'm like, oh, she gave me a book called The Coldest Winter Ever by Sister Soldier. If y'all haven't read it, it's raunchy, but it was good. And so that piqued my curiosity. I'm like, wait a minute, this reading thing is not that bad. And then after that, another coworker was like, well, hey, you might like this Curtis Black series by Kimberly Lawson Roby. And I was like, oh, yes, great. So I started reading those books. I would get home in the comfort of my home and read, because I was a better reader when I read out loud instead of just reading. You know how some people just look like that and they're reading. That wasn't me. So I was just in the comfort of my home, just reading, and just loving it. Until one day I was at work, and I was in my car on break, and I was reading out loud, but I was in my car. And a coworker who tapped on my window, he was like, what are you doing? And I said, reading. And then he like made fun of it because I was reading out loud. So y'all, that's when the shame came back. That's when the unworthiness came back. That's when I thought something was wrong with me. I thought I was doing this learning thing all wrong. And I want y'all to really, really get this, because I really, these thoughts started. Our thoughts really are powerful. It started when I was a kid. But so when this coworker did that, that crushed me again. At least my thoughts were, okay, it must not be normal to read out loud. And so there again, I thought I was not smart. I thought that I was not worthy of learning. I really did. And so I just shut down that part of me. And I was just so my belief was, well, I just don't know how to learn. I'm just not smart. It just must not be for me to be smart, intelligent, or whatever. You know? I mean, y'all, I'm just being transparent. This really it was my belief, and nobody knew it. Nobody knew that I felt I was comparing myself, the way I learned. Yeah, I was comparing the way I learned to the way others learn. But how many of you know, I know now that I'm unique. I'm unique. And here I am, I was at like 26, 20, I might have been even 28 when that happened, when that coworker tapped on my window. And so this led me back down a spiral of not thinking I was good enough. Now, I don't know if that's what led me to like wanting to eat or whatever to cover up my emotions. I can't pinpoint it to that. But I do know that kept me from my purpose. Because I was like, there's no way I can speak to people. Not on this magnitude anyway. Okay, so anyway, I didn't think that I could speak to people. You know, it was like, that was my limited belief was, you're not going to say the right words. Your vocabulary is not broad enough to talk to people. You might can talk to people one-on-one and encourage somebody one-on-one, but who are you to tell a large group of people about your testimony and about how to be free and about, the freedoms that we are, it's our birthright to be free. But I was in a dark place thinking that I wasn't worthy of learning, y'all. I thought I wasn't worthy of learning because of comparison. And I was in that prison since I was Major's age. I wasn't only in the prison of being overweight. I was in the prison of thinking that I couldn't learn and I wasn't worthy of learning. So then around 2009, I started dabbling in personal development. Still, at this time, I'm like learning by audiobook now. And so listening to books. And so in 2009, I started investing in real estate. Okay, that was all great and dandy. But still something in me was like, you're still not reading though. You're still not reading. Oh, wow, Tisha. See, I didn't know that. She had similar experiences. And it's bondage, y'all. It's bondage. It's bondage to think that you can't learn just because you don't learn like somebody else. Or just because you might need to read out loud when you read. You might need to listen to audiobooks. And y'all, it took me until now to realize it's okay. It's okay to be different. God made me unique. He made me exactly how he wanted me to be. Okay? And he wanted me, and there's people that might not want to hear what I have to say, and that's fine. But anyway, I just wanted to share this because it can keep us from our purpose for years. Okay? I was sitting there wondering, what in the world is my purpose? What am I here for? That led me out. That led me to growing. That's where my growth started. But I still didn't know my purpose. I still was like, well, what is my purpose? Nobody's gonna want to listen to me. I can't even really learn, and just all that. And if anybody else has a similar experience, that's fine. Please feel open because there's somebody that needs to hear your story. Anybody who's different from you, it's okay. Embrace that. If they learn different than you, that's fine. I didn't know it, but that's fine. That is totally fine because God made us all unique. All right, but anyway, I started going to Rejuvenate about 5 years ago. And being there led me closer to my purpose because that is like the mission statement of the church. And so I started realizing, you know what? I think my purpose is to just speak to people. I love doing it. I love sharing information. So I think that's my purpose. But still, all alone, I'm not smart enough. My vocabulary not broad enough. I don't learn the right way. So how in the world this gonna work, Then I met my Tai Chi instructor, which really helps me to meditate and tap into my deeper spirituality. And then my weight loss coach, all three really helped me, and I truly believe that led me to spiritual development. Okay, So I listen to audiobooks, and like I said, just until like 2 weeks ago, y'all, I thought it was something wrong with listening to audiobooks. I thought if you're not reading the book, then something wrong with you. Something wrong with me. I never thought it about anybody else. I just thought it about me. I thought, well, you still not really learning. And so there was a blockage. I was getting the information, but I just still couldn't quite retain it because I was still in prison of unworthiness. I was still in that prison of not thinking I was enough, not thinking I was smart enough. And I'm talking about up to 2 weeks ago. And then, you know, I'm taking this class now to grow spiritually, like the different levels of spiritual awareness. And something just clicked. Something he said about freedom. Freedom is our birthright. Freedom is not something that we can just try to attain. Freedom is already within us. It's our birthright. I have the right to be free to learn however I learn. You know, that's my birthright. So really, y'all, and I'm gonna throw this note in here, not trying to tell anybody how to parent. If you have a kid that's 10 and your 7-year-old don't learn like your 10-year-old, that's fine. Let them know that's perfectly normal. Let them know that is perfectly normal, because I didn't know. I thought something was wrong with me. I thought that I said I was dumb. I'm just gonna be honest with you. Oh, and I'm gonna ask Charlotte. Charlotte, have you, okay, at 10 years old, can you relate to thinking you're not good enough? And if so, when did it start?
Yeah, actually, whenever back when I was like in 4th or 3rd grade, my grades dropped, and I was thinking like, oh, I'm not good enough now. Nobody's gonna like me because my grades dropped. Nobody's gonna be proud of me. My parents are gonna be proud of me, but I had to like think like not everybody is the same way.
Well, did you feel alone? Did you feel like it was just you that grades had dropped? Did you feel like you was the only one that was going through that?
Actually, I did, because I was thinking like everybody else in the world was so perfect, and they was able to do everything perfectly fine. They had straight A's, straight B's, and I was thought my friend always had A B honor roll, and I would always compare myself saying, oh, I'm not good enough because she has A B honor roll and I have lower grades than her, so yeah. I'm not perfect enough. I can't do this anymore. I thought I was the only one who was going through that. I thought everybody else was perfect.
And y'all, this is not rehearsed. I was going over with what I was going to say, and she said, this is before 5:30. She was like, oh, did you? I thought that too. I'm like that too. Y'all, our children are having these thoughts. They're seeded. I don't know where they come from. Well, I'm going to tell you where they come from in a minute, but it's because we aren't, like Sophia, she just walked through. I don't know if you saw her or not. Sophia's not thinking about that right now, because she's still so close to her spirit. Like, she comes straight from, like, fresh off the conveyor belt from heaven. She's still right out of heaven. She's only 2 or 3. Charlotte is very well spoken. Great job, smart girl. You can do anything you put your mind to. Absolutely. But Sophia, you know, she's at the age where she doesn't really have that care and that worry. It's just, y'all, the longer we're in the world, the more we start looking at our peers, the more we started looking at the things outside of us, and we forget what's in us. We forget that we are spirits having a human experience. We forget that. We forget that we're creative. We forget that we have an imagination. We forget that we're unique. We forget that it's okay to be different. We forget that. So just like I said, just 2 weeks ago, I realized, you know what, Tonya? Freedom is your birthright. You have a right to learn. You have a right to not just learn, but you have a right to retain information. You have a right to regurgitate information. You have a right to be you. You have a right to be unique, because I am a unique expression of God in the earth. Charlotte is a unique expression of God in the earth. Tisha, you are unique, and you're a unique expression of God in the earth. We all are. He didn't make us alike. And I know that may seem elementary. I know that may seem elementary, but it's so many people, adults, walking around in bondage. In bondage. Shame and guilt, y'all. And shame and guilt will never cause transformation. It will never transform you. Shame and guilt won't. Okay? Let me see. So now what I do, I embrace what works for me. I listen to audiobooks because that is the way I learn. I take notes good old-fashioned way. Yes, I love growing and I love learning new things because that's one of my prayers every morning. What can I learn new today? I love learning new things, but I also embrace who I am. But I had to let go of the belief that my uniqueness was a flaw. My uniqueness is not a flaw. But that is what I thought. That is absolutely what I thought. So I don't now only have freedom to lose the physical weight. Y'all, I'm losing mental weight in every area of my life. It started with my health. But how you do one thing truly is how you do everything. So now my life is like I'm growing in other areas of my life, and my beliefs are shifting in other areas of my life. So I want to read Ephesians 6 and 12 because I want to let you know where those thoughts come from, and I want to let y'all know how we've misused this scripture. So Ephesians 6 and 12 says, "For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, authorities, powers of this dark world, and spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realm." Okay, now let me tell you how I used to use this verse. I used to say, if Scotty came, made me mad, or a coworker came to me and made me mad, I used to be like, well, we know that we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, like the principalities using that person to come against us. That's how I was using that verse. God said, no, not so. That verse means, for my struggle is not against flesh and blood. My struggle is against the powers of the dark world, the spiritual forces of evil. So when Scotty come at me, or when my coworker come at me, and I get upset, or I get whatever, feel unworthy, or I feel whatever, it's not that coworker. It's not anything about the coworker. It's my struggle. For my struggle is not against that coworker. My struggle is against principalities. Those principalities that's coming against me in the form of anger. That's coming against me in the form of fear. That's coming against me in the form of shame or whatever. And so that's the time for me to work on me. It has nothing to do with nobody else. For I wrestle not against flesh and blood. I am wrestling in the moment that I'm mad at my brother, in the moment that I'm mad at my sister. I am wrestling against anger. I'm wrestling against fear. I'm wrestling against doubt. It has nothing to do with them. They have their own battle. So we wrestle not against our flesh and blood. I'm wrestling not against Charlotte. I'm wrestling against my thoughts about Charlotte. I'm wrestling against my thought about my coworker coming up to me, pissing me off. I'm wrestling against those things that are not seen. My thoughts. That's what that means. Spiritual forces in the evil places, in heavenly places, I mean. That's what I'm wrestling against. So, and I don't want this to be too much longer. So in closing, I want to ask, what limited thinking is keeping you in bondage? What is it that you think that is no longer working? And it doesn't have to be in weight loss. What thoughts are you having about yourself that are no longer working? You are not alone. Up until 2 weeks ago, I thought it was something wrong with the way I learned, with the best way for me to learn. So freedom, remember y'all, freedom is our birthright. Freedom is our right. You know the story about the prodigal son? They both were blessed. So it doesn't matter. We're blessed. It's all right. Freedom. God wants us to be free so that we could be love in the world. So that we could be a light in the world. So that we can return to being like Sophia. Innocent. Relying on him. Open and receptive. Totally relying on him for everything. Not a care in the world. Believing that I can just be creative. Believing that I can do anything and not get hurt. Do anything and not fall. Just relying on him. He wants us back to that childlike faith. That childlike trust with everything. So, before I close, DJ, y'all, I'm going to have to bring my phone up to the TV because something's going on with the volume. Not yet. Pause it. But really, really listen to these lyrics. And as you do, I want you to think about when you were a child or when you were at a place, whatever age it was, when you lost you forgot how valuable you were to God. You forgot how, that you're just fine. Your uniqueness is just fine. You forgot that the struggle, the battle is not about anybody else. It's about you and your growth, your personal growth. And I got this idea from my coach from the October camp. She had us do an exercise. And while we were doing this journaling exercise, she was playing this song. And it took me back to where I first lost my innocence. And started relying on everything outside of me when everything was in me all along. And that was around Major's age. It took me back there. So allow this song, if you're not sitting down, if you're driving or wherever you can. But try, as you listen to these lyrics, try to just close your eyes. Go back there. And just know that God made you exactly how he wanted you to be. So take about 5 minutes, if you can. Listen to these lyrics. Close your eyes. All right, y'all. I don't want to hold you much longer. But I want to leave you with this. I want everybody free. Not just from weight loss. Okay? From the bondage of being overweight. From the bondage of diet mentality. But my desire is that everybody is free in every area of their life. Because it's our birthright. It's our birthright, y'all. Let's get back to the childlike faith. The childlike belief that everything's going to be okay each and every day. All right, so if you need help with your limited beliefs, if you need help believing that everything you need is within you, please send me a direct message. And even if you just do the one free consultation, that's fine. But I just want you to know that you are exactly how you're supposed to be. And that's how you're God's imagination. Okay? So you're just exactly, your gifts that you have are unique for you. They're unique to you. And there's so many more locked in that's waiting to be expressed. So I'll leave you with this. Shut the refrigerator and open your mind. Because the answer is in there. It's in here. So next week on Tonya's Tea, I'm going to talk about the importance of self-awareness. All right, y'all. So thank y'all for joining Tonya's Tea. Say bye, Charlotte.
Bye. Have a good day.
Bye.